Welcome back, everybody. My name is Rdawggg with the triple G's, and instead of Lakenair and Toasty, we now have Trix and Cosby. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Cosby, age before beauty.
Thanks for that one. Yeah, with that segue, I'm an OG Paragon player, OG streamer. Did some pro playing with my boys here at Crazy Fool Survivor way back in the day. Gonna try to keep my biases out of that because I love all the guys playing right now. Both teams. Really hard for me to pick a winner, but yeah, that's my background. Excited to be here again this week.
Yeah, similar background. Played a ton of the OG Paragon. Been playing the remakes. Been playing Predecessor. Loving it. I'm back here from the last event, and also same. Played on a team with Crazy Fool. Played on a team with Guru. Just gonna keep my biases out of it. Be as objective as possible. But man, just love everybody here.
Heck yeah, wow. You guys both know the professors really well, which is our next game that is going to come up, next series, I should say. So we have Team Rogue versus the professors. Team Rogue, we've got Nitro, Appy Picker, Pinzo Dunzo, Tekken Kid, and Haru. The professors, like you guys mentioned, we've got Mr. Guru, Survivor TV, Crazy Fool, Rdawggg, and Soul Reaper. What do you know, and what do you think about this upcoming matchup? Who do you think is gonna win, Cosby?
Put me on the spot with this really hard question. I know that these teams have been scrimming a lot. I know they're very, very familiar with each other. I think whoever wins I think the series goes as many games as it can go, all 3 games, 2-1. But I think my prediction here is going to be a bold one. I think Rogue has, they came out of the play-ins as the top team. I think they have a lot to prove. I think they're hungry, and I think they're going to try. Well, they're definitely going to try, but I think they will snatch out the victory here.
Oh, you think that the professors will get kicked out of this bracket, hey?
Students have surpassed the masters.
Oh, the students have to pass the masters. What do you think, Trix? Team Rogue versus the professors.
So I think that this matchup could go either way. The way that I'm seeing it go down is I think the professors drop game 1. I think they adapt and come back hard, live up to their namesake, make the adaptations that they need to do, and reverse sweep just the next 2 matches. So my vote's for the professors.
Your vote is for the professors. Okay. I'm kind of torn between the two. I watch Soul Reaper. That guy streams every freaking day. And I just have him sometimes in the background. And I'm lurking. Survivor, also a streamer. But we all know Pinzo is also a streamer as well. Tekken sometimes. So I'm a big fan of these guys. And they're like content creators from both sides of the match here. But I'm going to go with Team Rogue on this one. I feel like a lot of people are voting the professors to win. And I know last PCC, it was with the professors against Team Immune. But I kind of want to see some new faces. I want to see Team Rogue move forward, right? Any thoughts, Cosby? What do you know about Team Rogue at all?
I know individually they have really strong players. We didn't get to see their whole full team last time. They had some subs, and they'll have their main roster out here today. So I really, like I said earlier, I think they're coming hungry. They're coming ready to prove. We just saw a big upset last round, so I think they're feeling a little inspired to really bring their A game here, and we'll see a sweaty match.
Right, and I'm just kind of thinking, remember with the group play, we had Team Rogue versus Team Royalty. Team Rogue won actually against Team Royalty. So are we going to see another repeat of that last group event and see Team Rogue come on top? Trix, what are your thoughts on Team Rogue? What do you know about these guys?
So based on historical data, Team Rogue's going to win or lose because you predicted them. So I'm glad that my pick's going through. But no, like Rogue, it's solid players all around. They don't really make that many mistakes individually. They're great. Their team play is phenomenal. You see decisiveness and shot calling. You don't see like players being out of position when they shouldn't be. They prep for objectives really well, and they have solid lane play. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle for the professors. But I have full confidence they can do it.
All right, let's go ahead and see what the draft looks like. Okay, so we've got Professors and Team Rogue. Any like bans that you think will come
Get
through
this
from each
Sevrog out of the
side?
game. We can't
Sevrog?
see Seven another game. We've seen too much of this monster, and what we saw North do, that should strike fear in the heart of any mortal.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, well, actually, we have Howitzer banned from Team Rogue. Will the Professors... Just kidding! Okay, we have Rampage ban coming from the Professors. And Team Rogue banning Howitzer. Who is going to be locking down Sevrog at this time? Team Professors, or would it be Team Rogue?
That's a bold
Cosby.
pick.
Yeah, Gideon, right? Instead of the Sevrog. What are you thinking, Cosby?
I see the obvious strat from Rogue here is to deny what they would consider a top tier mid laner. Ban Howie, take Gideon, and then kind of let what comes with the rest here. But we're seeing the Richter ban or pick first out of the Professors, followed by a Lieutenant Bellica, kind of CC combo here. Both sort of act as flex picks, so we'll have to see a little bit deeper into this draft to see where they really go.
Oh my goodness, Trix. What are your thoughts right now seeing the picks on this draft sheet?
When you pick a Gideon and then the opponent instantly picks Richter, that feels so bad because you just know that like you're getting hooked over and over and over again out of your ult. But the Sevrog coming out on the side of Rogue, Rdawggg coming out on the side of Rogue, like they talked about earlier in the last game, Rdawggg widely regarded in NA as like the best carry, and then Sevrog, we just saw what he's like capable of doing. But Decker and Murdoch coming out, so it looks like that's going to be probably a Richter offlane or jungle, and then the Decker in the support role.
Right, and this is actually the first time today that we are seeing Rdawggg picked here, and then we don't have Akira this time. I feel like every match that we've been seeing, we either saw Murdoch, Revenant, Kira, but this time it's Rdawggg versus a Murdoch. Cosby, any thoughts on the duo lane matchup right now?
I know that Professors highly rate the Rdawggg, and it looks like Rogue does as well. I'm not sure if the early pick from Rogue was a denial of the Rdawggg pick or something that they just wanted, but I think all around the Rdawggg Narbash is pretty powerful. Silencing inside of the Narbash ult could be really good follow-up CC. I think both teams have a really solid draft. Besides what Trix alluded to earlier, the Gideon might have a little trouble getting his ult out, but other than that, I think there's really not many holes in the draft.
Trix, what are you thinking right now?
I'm not liking the lack of general CC coming off the side of Rogue. It's very much just hit a thunk and then run at them as fast as we possibly can. I think Professors has an overall like a more well-rounded draft where they have multiple avenues to win, whether they want a team fight with big stuns out of the Bellica into Richter combo, or if they want to play for picks using like Grux and Decker. But Rogue's team is scary. They have Sevrog. We've seen what he is capable of doing. Narbash has a huge disruption, and that Rdawggg silence field is just so difficult to play around inside of the tight jungle.
You think we'll be seeing a Richter jungle or the Grux in the jungle here?
Oh, I really hope that it's not a Richter jungle. I don't like it. I know a lot of people really value it. I think part of the Richter pick in general here was just taking it away from Pinzo and also as the anti-Gideon, but I think that it's a lot stronger in the off lane maybe. I'm not sure how the Richter Sevrog like matchup goes though.
Yeah, and with this recent patch, we know Richter got buffed a little bit, right? So I don't know, maybe we're gonna see some Richter jungle plays. But who knows? Maybe you're right too. We might see the Grux instead as the jungler. Cosby, what do you think? Do you want? It sounds like you kind of want the Richter jungle.
I would prefer it. I see Rdawggg more as the Richter player here out of Rdawggg and Guru more as the Grux player, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong. I think either way you swing it, both these players can play these characters, and they're going to bring the same thing to the team fights regardless.
Yeah, and so going over the current picks right now, Team Rogue locking in that Gideon, Rdawggg, Sevrog, Narbash, and Fang Mao. Team Professors picking Richter, Lieutenant Bellica, Decker, Murdoch, and Grux. Actually, I don't think we've seen a Grux at all during this whole tournament. What do you guys think about this Grux pick right now, Trix?
I think that Grux overall is not very strong at the moment. I think that he suffers a lot in matchups like against Severog. He's kind of, you have to get ahead and then stay ahead, and I feel like he's always playing on that kind of knife's edge of either being like pretty oppressive or very irrelevant in the game. So I think it's going to be, whatever it is, it's going to have to be, they're going to have to work to make it work.
Right, very well said. What draft right there. Looking at the draft, it sounded like you, Trix, were thinking the professors are going to win right away. Is that, correct me if I'm wrong.
So
is that your bias coming through?
I think it's part of the bias. I'm expecting the professors to have to move to work towards the off lane against that Severog, whether it's the Grux against it or whether it's the Richter against it. They're going to have to pressure with ganks early to take him out of the game, because both of those characters, Richter and Grux, I think when they are ahead, they can keep Severog zoned off the wave and kind of keep him irrelevant for longer. And I think that's really going to be the win condition for the professors.
What do you think, Cosby?
I
with
concur.
That current draft?
Yeah, definitely agree with that. There'll be a lot of contention on the side lanes, both duo and solo lane, just because how volatile those matchups are. Whichever one you see get ahead will get ahead, and whichever one's going to be behind will be behind. So
very well said. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nerendis and GeronimoJak. We want to see the game.
GeronimoJak is back, this time to my right, and the nice floral shirt is Nerendis. We have a Hawaiian theme going on today, guys. Spring is here. Nerendis, you're muted.
Hey, what's up? How's it going? I totally didn't say anything. Just ignore those past few seconds. It is so fun to be here. I'm going to breeze past that because I have a very fun fact for you, Jack.
Oh, no.
The origin of the word rogue. You know, it comes from this old English word that basically means to beg and to be a vagabond. And there's the old French word to be very aggressive and exhilarated. But if you go further back to its Latin roots, it means to actually ask a question, not just beg, but ask a question, to pontificate. And Rogue here today is going to ask the question of their professors if they have surpassed him and if Rogue will go on to the finals. I think it's very doable.
I was expecting a lot more puns in that sentence.
I didn't really have that much time to prepare.
I was waiting for it, and this guy's going to hit me with 12 puns in a row, and I'm just going to have to eat it up and sit there and wait.
So to make you feel better, I do have some actual facts. Grux has been played a few times this tournament. I have this. By the way, we have an amazing stats team behind behind the scenes that are just so awesome. They are part of Omeda as well. They have made me so excited. But particularly from the group stage, we did see Grux in a total of 8 games. He had a pick rate about 27%, which is nominal, but not like non-existent. A 0% ban rate. Do you want to guess his win rate though? Because it was kind of mentioned on the desk.
It's probably gonna be closer to, like, I believe 60% or lower.
12.5%.
60%. What am I thinking? 60% is a good win rate.
You did say 60% or lower, to be fair. Grux.
No, I'm like this guy. Yeah, no, it's got to be low. 60% is a really high win rate for MOBAs. My brain is completely fried from our last set. So
I have seen a few Grux support games. They don't go super well. It's an intriguing thought process. We'll see. I doubt it's going to happen today, but
I got a hot take for you and the rest of the stream.
Okay.
You take Grux support. You play Starving Senna with Grux support.
Sure.
And then you have FaZe as your ADC. And then when FaZe, me and one of the guys in the production did it. You have FaZe ADC, and then when FaZe presses R on the Grux support, he just goes hog wild, and you can't stop him.
To answer a question in chat, I don't mean to cut you off, but just to move more because I'm such a nerd about stats. I'm sorry. I'm so excited about these stats.
We've been talking about it for
highest
2 weeks.
I haven't. I've been talking to him in our Discord about stats for so long now, and I'm so excited that I actually get to talk about it. The highest win rate hero in the group stage, at least, and I don't know exactly how everything shuffled out today, is Narbash, but he only has 2 picks, but he has 100% win rate. So it's a little bit of a, it's a muffed kind of stat. Traditionally in stats we want to have 30 data points. Now with a game like this, I'd probably say like 10 would be sufficient. Now the highest win rate of a more played champion or hero, is actually in this game. It's Rogue's Gideon. He has about an 80% win rate with like almost 30 games.
That's going to be Appy Picker, I believe, right?
Let me actually double check that. 83% pick rate and 72% win rate with 25 total games, 10% ban rate. Pretty high, not just only presence, but win rate for this mid laner.
So Appy is a Paragon, just to fill you in on the lore and anyone else who's new. Appy is a Paragon OG who's played in some competitive events way back then. He used to be a streamer. Extremely positive, fun-loving guy who, when I talked to him last year, because we kept up over the years, he and me and him played on League of Legends together, and he was roughly around gold. And he said to me, "I'm going to be a master level player on League of Legends in under a year." And I was like, "I don't know, man." He's like, "Just watch me." He did it. So I have to eat my foot now.
Right.
And he is now one of the best players in Predecessor as a whole, as well as being one of the best guys I know. But
dedication goes a long way, especially in a MOBA. A MOBA is one of those types of games that you can really see your improvement really rapidly, really obviously. I really love Richter Jungle. I'm so excited to see this.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Richter Jungle is definitely a popular pick that's been happening over the last few years or few weeks. I'm telling you, man, that first set fried me real good.
Well, I heard you talking about Paragon, so
Yeah, it's been a popular pick over the last few weeks with the ADC meta shifting and people just trying to find ways around it and finding new ways to play the game. The roster is a small roster in Predecessor. We have 23 heroes, I believe, at this point. So that means you're going to try and find ways to make the game more interesting. You're going to try and find ways to change things up. For the competitive community, they're constantly rotating metas and the meta shifts every 2 or 3 days in the competitive community just because they're always trying to find a way to get around things.
Right, I like the adaptation. I like, I guess you would call it non-traditional heroes in specifically the jungle position because it opens up the way the team can be drafted around so much. For instance, if you take, I'm trying to think of something super standard, just like a Chimera, like a pretty obvious brute force jungler has gank potential. That puts your team in a certain subset of how they need to draft the rest of the match. But if you do like a Shimby jungle, which I'm really fan, especially like a tank Shimby jungle, now that's a magic source. Now do you want to start looking at AD in the mid lane? Do you want to start looking at AD solo lanes? I think that junglers, more than most roles, have this ability to give their team a lot of draft options, and I'm glad that even with such a small hero list, as you mentioned, but I think it's 25 is what production said, that junglers are still trying to do that.
Yeah, and that's definitely the case. We saw Rdawggg run in on the Richter jungle for his team to create some pressure and apply and miss the hook, but he was able to create the pressure for Survivor and Crazy Pool to grab the gold buff in favor of his team. Pinzo and Haru having to take the back foot. They're now just going to walk over to see if it's been cleared to get the timer on it so they know what's up next time there is. We do see Feng Mao in the jungle, not too far away. He was able to, I believe, grab the river buff, and he's now just going to take the back, get his first items, and just finish his first clear. Nothing major happening at this time. Teams just kind of poking each other out. If we're looking at level CS, there's only a 10 CS difference yet again, so we might see a theme here. Those kind of things are what we like to see, in my opinion, Nerendis.
Yeah, I actually like this. I'm much more of a fan of slower play, especially in the early few levels. You mentioned Rdawgg's gank. I'm actually a very big fan of pressure ganks. As you pointed out very, very clearly, they got the gold buff out of it. That's extra gold, extra experience, extra CS onto their carry, their duo lane. We saw full clear from both junglers. Pretty standard stock and standard. I'm a big Feng Mao player, but he is a little awkward in the first few levels. You need to kind of get going. You need to have a couple resets and a couple items to be able to actually get that damage off. And you also just have to have a few points in E. 2 points in E, which is standard. You probably do by level 4 full clear. You do 1 Q, 1 right click, and 1 E. You kind of really need 3 in E before you get doing enough damage to really be worth ganking someone. So I'm fine that he's just kind of farming still. And I think Nitro, although he's kind of down a gank, so to speak, is in a totally fine position.
I mean, so one nice thing about Feng Mao is that he's able to run through the map so quickly.
Right.
Like some people might not want to level up the Q with the shield early on, favoring for the more damage. But even if you do, it's a move speed buff, and it helps you sustain in the jungle. So you're able to just get around really quickly. Once you get your Malady, and then once you get your Mind Razor, that champion becomes just a walking AoE stick, and just will, push 400, sometimes 500 CS in the game if you're really dedicated, and there's not much you can do about it once he gets ahead. In that regard, Richter's gonna have a harder time doing that. So Richter's probably gonna rely more on actual straight up brute force ganks.
Right, and as I mentioned, I like the pressure ganks from a champion like Richter, or Rdawggg playing a champion like Richter. You're right. I mean, he is a much more early game focused jungler. He does not have the farm prowess that a Feng Mao does. He is going to have to start getting something going that's not just, hey, look at me, back off of my ADC. It's still early enough. I'm not saying that it's all over. There just has to be a little bit more. And actually, just kind of looking across the board, this is a fairly early game focused Professor's draft, which is intriguing that they have been so far so slow.
And there it is right now. Crazy Fool dropping out the Decker stun. Pinzo having to blink through the Decker cage, but Rdawggg coming in, landing the max range skewer. They're all jumping straight onto the Narbash right now. Every little bit of damage going over, not going to be enough as Soul Reaver comes in. He has the ultimate, but he hits Haru with it instead. Pinzo and Haru both living with under 100 health in that team fight, as the majority of Survivor and of the Professors is going to rotate over and try and pick up that double kill. The wave is now pushed in, applying the pressure they can. The nice thing about Narbash is
look at the Gideon rotation.
There's the Gideon rotation coming in, as Appy Picker is trying to follow up as well, but he realizes it's not going to be enough, and he's going to back off, go back to lane. He does have the Grux and the Belica collapsing in on him as well, but we're still fighting in the dual lane as Nitro finally coming in for his first gank, forcing the blink out. He's going to follow up. Is he going to be able to get it? There's one as he levels up to hit level 6. Soon as he picks up the kill onto Crazy Fool, Rdawggg in now, dropping the big ultimate for Richter, and him and Survivor are going to be able to work together to make it an even trade in favor of them. Not too sure if that was the right move for the Feng Mao, but he is able to put himself on the map.
Right, and so much just happened there. I mean, Pinzo and Haru played that original gank so well. We had just mentioned that Rdawggg needs to get something going. The Professors themselves need to get something going because they are a really early game focused team versus this hyper-scaling rogue setup. It's played very, very well. They have to blow their blink. That's just the way that game goes by. But unfortunately, they re-engage. They're very worried about their CS difference at that point, about waves crashing. I mean, this is not League of Legends. This is Predecessor. You can be back in your lane within about 15 seconds. You lose very little CS, very little gold, and it forces their jungler to come over and kind of clean up an extra fight that was really unnecessary. Now, he does trade a 1-for-1 kill. There's actually a 2-for-1. But when you're just kind of looking to sit and farm and absorb this pressure, it's unfortunate that you just kind of re-engage at about 10% health and 0 mana.
And we are seeing Pinzo getting caught in the Decker cage once again. Supports should be hitting level 6 very, very shortly, as Haru and Survivor managed to get their ultimates just now. I think Survivor and Crazy Fool have the advantage. The Thunk going out right now. Crazy Fool has the ability to follow up as well. Haru bringing down the nice little bit of healing in order to top up his ADC. That's a roughly even trade in favor of Pinzo and Haru, as they're able to sustain the damage that they just took back. Survivor taking more than half his health bar, having to use just his health pots to get back in. But here comes Rdawggg throwing in the move speed, running on to Haru, burning the ultimate. Haru has to flash away. He will not get hit by the skewer, but it's Pinzo who's going to look at being focused right now. He's able to walk away as well. Now, a lot of people say Narbash is definitely not an early game champion, but I partially disagree with that, because the healing he can put out to keep people alive just enough is more than mind-numbing for me. It just makes me want to pull my hair out every day of the week.
Right. Well, we'll see this fight, and I'll talk about it in a second.
As there's a re-gank coming in from Rdawggg. He's going to go straight onto Haru. They're going to land the cage and actually secure it. And there's the skewer coming out once again as Rdawggg hits Pinzo, who has no mana coming through. He's going to try and run him down. No more CC to follow up, as both Survivor and Crazy Fool are not there to actually make sure they do pick up the kill on the Narbash.
So any healing hero is an early game hero, whether they have good scaling or not, because especially, I mean, every other champion in this game, hero, oh man, this is gonna be bad, does not have an ability to just like straight up heal. It is so oppressive in lane phase. That is why Rdawggg has been so focused here. He's not looked at a single other lane. First of all, he's burned several of the flashes. We saw the gank, which burns the flash onto Drongo, and then the regank only moments later, a little bit kind of overzealous there from the Rogue duo lane after having neither of their flashes. But the point still remains that Rdawggg has to be here over and over and over again, because, well, this is really the only lane he can focus on right now.
And Appy hasn't been able to really follow up and pick up any kills. He was looking at the Fangtooth that was just taken in favor of Professors a second ago, but there wasn't anyone on his team to really add on to it. Dual lane once again being run down. This time Rdawggg landing another skewer onto Haru, and they're just going to completely blow him away. The crash bang boom not going to be able to do anything, as he CC'd out of his own ultimate. Will be the Narbash going down as well.
So this is the time when we need to see adaptations. We know what the game plan is from the Professors. We need to now see Rogue be switching it up, be playing more defensively in the duo lane. It is okay to back off of this lane. I do not think overloading on it when you're already down pretty low is a good idea. I don't think rotations from Nitro is going to do too much unless he can be there at the exact time, but I think he's still probably a little too behind in tempo at this point. You need to, as Rogue, slow down that duo, let them just kind of cook basically in this backed off lane, and look more to your solo lanes. Try and get an advantage somewhere else, especially on these hyper scaling solo laners that are already in a good position to begin with, and just let, unfortunately, Pinzo and Haru just kind of simmer.
They have to play weak side. That's all.
Exactly.
Do it. But they are running in now. We are seeing 3 people in the duo lane. Nitro is there to add pressure so Haru can secure the gold buff while the minions are under the tower, and we are seeing Nitro, apply resources and time into his duo lane to probably make sure they're not getting too far behind. But you need to let him cook. We saw Tekken Kid get a kill a second ago as well.
So I think there's a fine adaptation. He just cleared his red side jungle, and he was looking for a reset anyway. So just kind of showing his face in the duo lane, getting them the gold buff. It takes a few seconds off his reset. He's already down in tempo, so a 4-second faster reset is not going to reset his tempo by any means, or advance his tempo. So that's actually kind of okay. What I don't want to see is him do it again and again and again and try and overforce things in a lane where, I mean, it's a Drongo. He can just sit and right-click farm and Q farm for the rest of the game, and he will be better off than this Murdoch. So it's fine. What now? If the dual lane keeps dying to ganks, that's a bit of a different story. But if they can just kind of sit in AFK farm, it's fine. We've got to fight the mid lane, though.
And that's going to be Bellica about to be killed, but Rdawggg coming in once again, landing yet another hook. Across the map will be Survivor with the long arm of the law to pick up a kill. And that is going to be what should have been a nice fight in favor of Rogue a nice fight in favor of, I believe, Professors was turned around. And
so, sorry to cut you off. That was actually exactly what I was looking for. Nitro, after his reset, doesn't even go for a clear. He comes in from the blue side for the overextended kill on the Professor's mid lane. It's the exact adaptation that I was looking for. Now, Rdawggg very intelligently is aware that he has gotten his duo lane so far in advance that he needs to start protecting his solo lanes. However, Rdawggg just one step ahead, pokes out the kill, even with the Murdoch all coming in, walks out scot-free. Nitro gets a kill, and we're all good to go off the races. Now we can reset our tempo and go to our advantages in the duo lane and get things going again.
Nitro jumping on top of Survivor, who has to burn his shotgun to knock him back ever so slightly. Pinzo following up now to apply the healing off and, you know, bandage up any damage that was done to his teammates. They are looking at ramping up the game. Things are 15 minutes in. They're starting to get a little more aggressive. If we can get the scoreboard up really quick.
Just about to say that.
Yeah. 5-4 right now, and there's a 40-some CS difference between the two teams.
Yeah, so even-ish in gold. Oh, there's a fight again.
We have another fight in the duo lane right now as we're trying to get through, but they aren't able to. No, they are able to secure the duo lane. That's Haru and Pinzo going down once again as Rdawggg relentlessly runs into Team Rdawggg, landing every single hook he possibly could at max range too. These have not been just, you know, like point blank hooks.
So are you aware of lollipoping?
I am aware of lollipoping, and League of Legends is incredibly frustrating.
For anyone in chat that is unaware of how most hooking and long-range kind of projectile-based weapons like Richter Hook works in
go into the street
MOBA
at night.
At the very end of it, so let's say that it's 10 pixels long, right? And it's 1 pixel wide. On the 10th pixel, it's actually 2 or 3 pixels wide to give this kind of buffer zone when you're at the absolute max. So while it might seem counterintuitive, it's slightly easier to hit max range hooks because the ability will lollipop. It will go like kind of teleport onto someone, even though it seems like it's a miss, and grab them. This is a big rotation, though. We're gonna have to see how this works out because Nitro might be in trouble here.
Well, Nitro is actually looking and watching with Tekken Kid as they are going to go straight onto the mini prime. They have no idea that Team Rdawggg is right in the corner with Survivor right beside them. They're waiting, and they do manage to see him going right on top of his head.
Oh boy.
It will be a nice engage. Pinzo now with the crash, bang, boom. He's going to land it onto Survivor, and Rdawggg, Nitro now at half health, as well as Tekken Kid as they're going into the team fight. Bellica Bomb going to blow up and take Feng Mao out of the fight. He has to walk away. Rdawggg now low as 3 people rotate in. Bellica Bomb hitting 3 people. There is going to be a pull from Mr. Guru as Appy Picker follows up with the black hole onto Soul Reaper, trying to stay alive from the stasis, managing to keep it going. Appy with no mana now picks up the final kill before he goes down himself, and that is going to be Professors with a nice just getting team wiped. They had no idea Rdawggg was waiting around the corner like the sneaky little thieves they actually are, waiting for the counter engage.
Right, that was an interesting decision making from Rdawggg. They just bailed on their duo lane, rotated through the mid lane in vision on a ward onto Orb Prime. Rdawggg totally set there. Now it is a 3-for-3 at the end, but of course it's a 3-for-3 for the team that has been behind. You want to take trades all day long. I'd want to shout out particularly Nitro. He absolutely broke the ankles of Rdawggg. He right clicked through him to go to from Rdawgg's back to his front, throwed an auto Q, and then right-clicked, or I think blinked through him again as Rdawggg throws out the ultimate, takes basically 0 damage through him, is able to sustain himself through the fight long enough that he can get out and re-engage. Of course, he does go down because he was so low, but just extremely well mechanically played from the jungler of Rdawggg. And yeah, it's a totally fine trade for Rdawggg. Again, they are the scaling team here.
One of the nice things about Feng Mao's dash, not everyone knows it, is his damaging ability. So optimally, you want to use it to go through a target to actually do damage. You're not just repositioning yourself, Nerendis, you're also hitting them with damage. We are seeing in the offlane right now, Mr. Guru is at half health as his teammates are going to follow up with Tekken Kid, and that's Nitro picking up a kill on the Grux. That 12% win rate might come through here.
Yeah, we got to see the response here in the mid lane,
and
because they are overloading it.
And they are, yes, they are overloading. They're trying to push down. Haru is alone. It's him versus the world as the enemy team is going to crash the wave. And Appy Picker just sitting up in the top corner of the map, waiting for the over-engage. Nitro following up now onto Survivor, who finds himself slightly out of position. And that is going to go to Haru, I believe, as Appy Picker dashes forward, bringing the black hole out onto the rest of the team. He's going to be CC'd out of his own ultimate. And Rdawggg is there now. There is no tower to stop them. With Tekken Kid having the mini prime, they can now counter push and use the power play with Survivor being dead to take advantage and take control of the map.
Yeah, it's 2 completely unanswered kills there for Rogue after that even team fight. Unfortunately, Fangtooth isn't up, so that'd be a good rotation. Their waves aren't amazing, but to be fair, they have gotten the mid lane tier 1, the most valuable tower in the game, and the I think that's the solo lane tier 1 as well, which is probably one of the less valuable towers, to be fair, but still a valuable tower nonetheless. And so they've kind of equalized their macro. They're probably starting to get equal here on kills. We'll see what happens with the solo fight. Okay, 1 kill off, and the gold and the CS difference is actually starting to go in favor. Well, no, still about 65 CS, which is fine. So it's like what, a 1,500 gold differential, which at 20 minutes is not as impactful because remember it was closer to 2,000 gold in about the 10 minutes. Of course, gold differential becomes less important as time goes on, and it's been dwindling itself. So it's kind of like a double dwindling effect as Rogue is slowing down the game. I think they're listening to my adaptations. They're looking to their solo laners, and they're just playing a little bit slower and smarter, and more importantly, keeping track of Rdawggg as he walked on a ward yet again.
So interesting enough about the build right now, we are seeing Pinzo on Narbash go for a Tainted Guard instead of a healing item. I believe in the captain's team chat earlier, we were informed of a bug regarding Tainted Guard. It's doing more damage than it should. And now I've seen 2 supports that wouldn't normally build Tainted Guard. So they may be taking advantage of that extra damage Tainted Guard is providing. Now, it's something people were building anyways. It was a very popular item over the last few weeks, and it will be patched out in the next patch. However, now that you're aware
we're going to
fight that extra damage, we are going to have a fight here as we do see Rdawggg dash forward. He's going to be knocked out of his own portal. The big Decker ultimate coming down through the cage. Rdawggg landing the skewer. Haru trying to do what he can with the gag grenade. It won't be enough as Tekken Kid goes down as well. And that is going to be a full near team wipe in favor of Professors. My lord, that engage did not go the way Appy wanted it to.
Such a throw. Look, you have the inroad on both mid lane and solo lane and the Fangtooth as well. You let them come into you. You have wards on them. It is so easy to play this fight out slowly. You are also probably stronger at this point. But if you just W onto them, you will lose, and you will probably throw any advantage you could have had. Absolute swing back to the Professors. Their 3rd Fangtooth. They are now off to the races, and any scaling potential from Rogue is in serious danger.
Yeah, Appy Picker getting knocked out of his own ultimate the second he hit that button. I'm not even sure if that thing went on cooldown. It happened so quickly. He was ready to engage for his team and get a big 5-man ultimate. He pulled that trigger, and Professors were not having any of it for a single second. And they were able to pick up the 3rd Fangtooth off that. We're 22 minutes in the game, going on 23. The Prime is the next big objective, Nerendis.
Right, we're going to have to look at that purple. Rogue wearing purple, of course. That's their colors. Maybe they're going to look for it a little more. But Professor's kind of an interesting adaptation here. Going for kind of the, I guess you would call it,
they are going to force the blink out of Tekken Kid. Yeah, they are. They're going to force the blink out of Tekken Kid, but it's not going to be enough. Rdawggg pulling once again, followed by Guru with the big pull. Tekken Kid knocking them under tower as Survivor blinks forward to get out of range. And that is going to be Tekken Kid down on Rogue. Professors were on the back foot, but they just took over immediately, running through Rogue's jungle, taking the blue buff, putting it on the mid laner, and the Prime is now theirs to take. This is their game to lose.
It really is. I'm not the exact happiest with that play to begin with. They did have to burn 2 flashes for 1. They got pretty low. Of course, we do see the Rdawggg split pushing. Let's see how this goes with Nitro.
And it doesn't go very well as Nitro is going to be the one to die. Appy Picker in as well, having to portal away. And it's going to be Narbash falling as well. He has to use his Crash Bang Boom to apply a little bit of peel for himself. However, that gives Team Professors the full range to just take the Prime if they can. The damage is heavy. They could lose themselves. There's Appy Picker with the black hole. Rdawggg could go down. However, they blow him up before it actually goes down. And it's going to be 2 dead once again. Narbash and Gideon going down, 2 Professors, as they do manage to secure the Orb Prime.
And they were able to keep their inhibitor on the left side alive as well. That could have been a big trade there. I actually would have taken the trade for Haru getting the inhib for the or Prime, excuse me. A little unfortunately, Apple just didn't have enough damage there because they were at blinking health bars. But now it's really crunch time for the side of Rogue. They need to slow this game down more than they ever have. They need to really be aware of controlling their waves. They have a wave crashing in the left lane. They have a wave crashing in the mid lane. It needs to be dealt with sooner rather than later. And now they're just going to have to look for picks and look particularly for professors to make a mistake, which we've seen a few times. We have seen professor players caught out. We've seen them in bad position, and we have seen Rogue capitalize it. So I'm not going to say it's over yet by any means, but a scaling team that is this far behind at a time that they should be starting to take over the game is starting to get a little frightening. They're going to not have any control of their jungler. It looks like Nitro's aware of that. They have to be completely out of the jungle and just completely prepared to absorb anything that they can, and if they can't, it's going to be an inhib, and it could be game.
I think what they need to do, if anyone's played a game on a lower level account or with your friends who are not as good or are newer, people do things that aren't predictable just because they don't know the game as well, and it can throw you off. You can lose that. We are seeing a fight go out as we have another member go down. It's Appy Picker once again being killed by Rdawggg and the rest of his team. It's Orb Prime pushing down the lane onto the inhibitor as Crazy Fool dashes straight in with the Riftwalker on Decker. Not able to secure the ultimate, but they're able to go on to Tekken Kid with the Sevarog, who just barely lives. No, it's the long arm of the law picking up the kill for Survivor. And they are going to push down the lane. They might be able to end the game right here. It's 2 down for Rogue. Haru doing what he can to apply the damage. They kill him as well. And the Stasis Gem coming out of Soul Reaper. Everyone doing what they can as Nitro cleaning up the world, applying whatever he can to the team. It won't be enough as he goes down. Soul Reaper going down to the Nexus. They're doing everything to just clear the wave. Pinzo with no health now, and the Nexus doing more work than Rogue ever has. The Black Hole is getting the kill, and they manage to hold at the last possible second, getting a team wipe. That is what I was just about to say, and Rogue needs to do. Give me a second here as I was going on. You play silly. People who are really good at the game don't know what it's like to roll in the mud. Apes strong together. Simple as that. You just do silly and dumb things to catch people off guard while also playing safe, taking those picks. That's how you win these games.
Yeah, Nitro and Pinzo really clutched it out there, putting the team on their back, giving enough time for Apple to reset, and really intelligently playing around the the inhibitor or the Nexus itself, and letting. I mean, it does way more damage than people seem to think, especially at this time. And it's about 25 minutes toward the core. Excuse me, not the Nexus. One thing I'm a little disappointed in is that Professors probably had a triple inhib there before their big push. They kill the mid laner, they kill the solo laner, back up to the mid lane, wave crashing to get your inhib. Then the second on the solo lane is gonna be, I think it was kind of about the green buff there, and you get a 3 inhib, and you probably win the game, or you just kind of reset and then win the game there. Pretty overzealous, but I'm not super worried about it. 2 inhibs is still absolutely crushing,
and that core is just above or just under a quarter health right now. Decker throwing the stun out. Crazy Fool not able to land it. Nitro in the corner waiting for someone to walk up, but he's not out of health. He chooses to dash away. There was a shield burned, I believe, by Narbash. I'm not too sure if he's running Sanctification this game or not, but it seems like that was the case, and that was used as a cooldown. Next Fangtooth is coming up, and go ahead, Nerendis.
If I'm Professors, I actually bail on this Fangtooth. Rogue's gonna have to check it, right? So you can all in on the left lane, force them to either get a Fangtooth that's not gonna be super valuable for them at this point, or give up an inhibitor. But instead, they're kind of doing this. They're kind of resetting here. I'm not super happy about it. I think it's gonna be a weird fight. I think they could have just all in on this split push, let the waves crash. They have 2 inhibs, but now they're gonna take a fight. And we'll see how it goes.
And it's going to be Primal Fangtooth going possibly in favor of Rogue. This is the objective that they need. Appy Picker dashing in a little too low to the ground. He's going to get hit by the Decker ultimate as the Crash Bang Boom goes up and managed to secure a couple kills in favor of Rdawggg, but it is not enough as Guru and the rest of his team completely obliterate Team Rdawggg. Last one alive is Abby Picker. He's trying to take the back. He needs to clear the wave one more time. I don't know if it will be enough, though.
Yeah, I think this is probably the death knell here. The professors obviously played it quite fine. I think they might not need to be in that position to kind of coin flip. But there was a few pretty low players. Maybe if that black hole goes off a few seconds longer, that could have been kind of rough. I don't think Abby Picker can hold off for 10 seconds.
And that is not the case. Just under 30 minutes is going to be the game in favor of the professors. Rdawggg had a chance there, but unfortunately, I don't know if it was a ping issue or what was going on. Appy's ultimates were not going off when they needed to. They were going off slightly later, causing him to be CC'd out of his own ultimate.
So, I mean, you could blame people. It's mostly a decision-making issue. They took too long to adapt out of the kind of 3v2 that their bot lane was in, which, again, as I said, that's okay. We talked about it. Sometimes you just got to let your duo lane just cook for a while. They didn't start adapting, going to their mid lane, going to their solo lane. Unfortunately, I think they might have just misread the gold difference a little bit, where like when I was calling them about 1,500 gold behind, they might have been tabulating 15 gold ahead. 1,500 gold ahead,
right?
And so they're starting to take unnecessary fights when professors were kind of giving them fight after fight after fight. I mean, professors wanted to fight the entire game, start to finish, so you never have to really go into them. Right. So I think it might have just been kind of bad arithmetic, bad awareness of kind of where the map is at the time. And after that point, once you go from a 1,500 gold differential to a 25 to 3,000 gold differential,
right?
It's going to get really, really problematic because you're also giving over the third Fang Tooth at that point. I just want to see Rdawggg slow it down a little bit, be a little bit more aware of their draft win conditions, and just be okay to absorb things if necessary. We know Professors is a very all-in team. That's the way they like to play. So
we've seen here.
Let them, let them come into you. I mean, you kind of have an anti-engage comp anyway. Now we'll see, of course, how drafting game 2 is, but that's the way they're going to play probably no matter what. So why not let them play their way and then counter it, basically, as opposed to just kind of doing what you want, thinking it's going to work. And
that's what we saw. I wanted to touch up on that as well. Hopefully the desk will. On top of that is they actually did have that counter engage team. You have the Narbash. The Gideon could be used as a counter engage. Sevarogg's ultimate can knock away key targets. They have what they need to push people away and isolate the ones that are left. And they didn't do that accordingly. I also think if you know that the player teams are really good, you can start playing stupid and you'll just break their brains and catch them off guard. That is always a valid tactic. We saw it a handful of times as well, but
we didn't get to see a lot of the solo lanes this game because there's so much action in the duo lane.
Right.
But without really much interference from the rest of the team, Abby Picker was able to take his tier 1 turret in the mid lane. And Sevarog, who's the solo laner for Rdawggg, also was able to take the tier 1 turret in his lane as well. So, I mean, they were already kind of winning their lanes to begin with. So I think they need to play to these really strong solo laners. Professors is a very bot ADC focused team, and I think that's okay. I think you called it out in the cast. Weak side is a big thing. Sometimes you just have to understand that, like, damn, this is not my game to get pentakills. It's okay because the rest of my team is going to do fine. I want to see Rdawggg adapt, and I've been talking to Rdawggg a lot. For Professors, honestly, it's business as usual. We were talking about this in DMs earlier today, that I get a little weird out by their mechanical skill and they're kind of like just running in the jungle and dying, which they did this game. But I think it's okay because all you got to really do at the end is press W as Professors, and Feng Mao might break your ankles, but you're still going to win the team fight.
So that's going to be it for game 1 in favor of Professors. We're going to go to break. If you guys have your Prime sub, once again, it's available. Please drop it towards us. Any and all support goes straight back into the PCC. If you have a follow and you haven't followed yet, please do that. Say hello in chat. We're actually quite receptive and we're quite talkative as a PCC team. But we'll be back in 2 seconds with the desk.